Throughout The Sopranos' first 2 seasons, we could see that Livia was always causing trouble for Tony no matter what the scenario was. It seemed as if Livia was causing stress, anxiety, and resentment towards Tony ever since he was a child, as she was by no means a great mother, often yelling, screaming, threatening, and most likely hitting her children growing up. Her reasonings for being so miserable towards her children are unknown, as it's most likely she was taking her anger, depression, and anxiety out on her children as a result of her husband Johnny Boy constantly lying to her, cheating on her, and adding unwanted stress to their lives daily with the uncertainness of Johnny's income. While she was certainly bitter towards her children, she was especially hatred towards her only son, Tony. This is because she resents Tony for only wanting what's best for his mother by transporting her to a nursing home in Green Grove. It's shocking that Livia treats Tony this way, as we find out in the series' second episode, 46 long, that Tony is the only one left out of his 2 sisters that is still around trying to make peace with his mother.
Where are your sisters in all this?
Oh, they cut it off with her a long time ago. No way she's bunking with them.
But she's my mother. You're supposed to take care of your mother.
This is simply because Tony feels obligated to take care of Livia because he is her only son, as she's been without a male figure in her life for some time now, ever since her husband Johnny Boy passed away. In a weird way, during the first half of the first season, we sort of feel bad for Tony during this estranged relationship that he has with his mother. While he wants to take care of his mother by only wanting what's best for her by putting her in a nursing home so she doesn't cause any more harm to herself, hiring a caretaker, always inviting her over for dinners and parties, and offering to Livia to live with him and his family. But yet, at the same time, Livia can be seen feeling miserable, selfish, cagey, and manipulative towards Tony. She ignores everything and anything Tony and Carmela have to say, especially when they're both looking out for Livia. She can often be seen making negative comments on any situation and told Carmela on her wedding day of all days that Tony would grow bored of her. So we can see just how evil and spiteful Livia can be. Livia was extremely hostile and spiteful towards her children, often putting them down every chance she could get and neglecting their achievements and accomplishments in life. She saw very little pleasure in life, which is why she sought out to make her children's life miserable. It's discovered later on in the series that Dr. Melfi informs Tony that his mother possibly had developed borderline personality disorder. This is someone who has trouble maintaining relationships, often develops sudden feelings of anger, emptiness, develops feelings of loneliness, and has sudden mood swings. It's because of Tony just wanting what's best for Livia is where she begins to grow paranoid with her son, as throughout the first seasons, she can constantly be seen thinking that she's going to die, but also rejecting anyone's help and growing stubborn with anyone around her, only for her stubbornness to come full circle and bite her back. As she can be seen forgetting about mushrooms on the stovetop causing a fire, she shows signs of forgetfulness and runs over her friend in her driveway, resulting in breaking her wrist on the steering wheel. However, it's towards the end of season 1 where Tony and Livia's relationship begins to turn sour. Livia suddenly develops an immense amount of hatred towards her son, and we watch it only grow when she discovers the fact that Tony is seeing a psychiatrist and that 3 of his captains have their mothers in Green Grove. And she later despises the fact that Tony is only trying to better himself by seeing a psychiatrist in Dr. Melfi to control his chronic panic attacks and to deal with his crippling anxiety and depression that comes from Livia. Because of this situation, she manipulates her very own brother-in-law and Uncle Jr., as the two put a hit out on Tony. This situation makes Uncle Jr. feel betrayed, with Livia revealing to him the startling news of Tony seeing a shrink and going behind Uncle Jr.'s back and having 3 of his captains have their mothers in Green Grove simply to hide incriminating evidence. This only makes Uncle Jr. angry and more upset and results in him feeling undermined despite Jr. actually being the boss of the family. When the hit on Tony fails, Livia and Junior try to make peace with Tony, despite the two of them being in complete shock that the hit wasn't successful. Tony and his crew see right through Livia and Uncle Junior's fake attitude and care. And it's here where Livia begins to show sudden signs of Alzheimer's when she doesn't recognize her granddaughter Meadow. Later on, we watch Livia suffer a sudden stroke as well. With this startling news that is addressed to Tony that his mother had suffered a stroke, he takes this as a blessing and a breath of fresh air to finally confront his very own mother about the fact that she tried to have her very own son killed. This ultimately put an end to Tony finally getting revenge on his mother once and for all, as he was going to attempt to smother his mother with a pillow. And this is something we actually saw Paulie do as well later in the series when he suffocated one of his mother's friends to death with a pillow. And with Livia in the hospital recovering from her stroke, she tells Artie Bucco that it was ultimately Tony who had burnt down his beloved restaurant in Vesuvio. So we can see that Livia is still trying to make things stressful for Tony, even with her in the hospital. Although Livia was released from the hospital once recovering from her stroke, to Tony, she and Uncle Junior were already dead to him, as Tony viewed the two of them as stregs and devils and cut off all contact between either one of them. We learn later on in the series that she did show signs of being a loving mother, as Tony and Janice discover that she saved few of Barbara's belongings, none of Janice's, and mostly kept all of Tony's childhood belongings. She was an extremely dysfunctional woman who didn't know how to love her children. It's possible that the reasoning for Livia being this way is because she wasn't loved by her husband throughout their marriage, as Johnny Boy had countless of girlfriends on the side, so in retaliation, she sought out to not love her children that they raised. In the second episode of season 3, Porshai Levushka, we learned that Livia had passed away in her sleep. Throughout her entirety on The Sopranos, Livia was an extremely evil and manipulative mother. But she wasn't just an evil mother, she was an evil person as well. And even after her death, she continued to haunt Tony from her grave, whether it was having nightmares about her or meeting one of Johnny Boy's girlfriends in Fran Felstein. One thing was for certain, there was no escaping Livia's haunting or warped shadow for Tony or Janice. What are your thoughts about the character of Livia Soprano? I would love to hear them down in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to click like and subscribe. For more Sopranos content, keep it locked here, right here on this channel.